Hi guys, this is the Drunkdeer X60 Future Hall Effect keyboard. This is a very eye-catching design, as you can see, with this glass rim that illuminates how you like it to, and the bottom of the case is also quite a looker with some more useless RGB lighting. These features have been mainly made with RGB first ideology that I don't really like that much. Why would anyone want RGB on the bottom of the keyboard? You cannot see it at all, and it just draws extra power. But anyhow, luckily the bottom looks clean even without the illumination going on. The glass rim makes it quite a bulky keyboard, but I think for fans of more gamery aesthetics, this keyboard will work very nicely. There's also a cheaper version without this rim called X60, so personally that is what I would get, but you do you. The case is actually crafted really well. The bigger parts seem to be made from aluminum, and there is only a few parts that are found on the bottom that are plastic, like these pieces here. I like this mirror part finish here on the top of the front part. I think it's a nice touch overall. In this case, you have a center USB port, which is of course very nice. Inside the case, they use aluminum plate with plate mounted stabs. Then there is a foam layer with a PET sheet, then the PCB, and below it they have a layer of IXPE case foam. The keycaps are transparent frosted acrylic ones for that extra RGB shine through if you like that. Below them you find some Drunkdeer's Gian magnetic switches. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but anyhow. These switches seem to be made by Russia. They have a 4mm travel distance. The initial force is 35 gram force and the end is 50 gram force, which is quite a normal rating. And they also have a pretty unique looking stem. When you see a stem like this, you hope that the stability is somewhat improved, but sadly that is not the case here. They have quite a large amount of top wobble, and bottom out wobble is quite noticeable also compared to some of the more recent switch offerings. Some of that top wobble is of course the 4mm travel distance affecting things. The looping of this is decent with some loop on the rails that seems to get the job done. They don't have any scratchiness on any of the switches, which is of course really good. The sound of the switches is a loud clack with some nice low end in the mix. They are pretty nice sounding switches, but on this keyboard at least they are a bit too loud for my taste. Here is a sound test. The stabilizers being plate mounted is one of the keyboard's main weak points when it comes to the typing feel. They are just pretty inconsistent when you press them off center, and they have some side-to-side play on the plate they are attached to. I would really hope more keyboard companies would use screw-in PCB mounted stabs for better typing feel, but I imagine it's mostly a cost-related thing. These do get the job done, but they are just not that pleasant feeling or sounding. Some of them are mushy, some of them are pretty rattly. I tested the single key latency with my XLAT, and the performance seems to be quite nice on this overall. The result I got was pretty much identical to what I got with the Lumen Magger 60HE, and it was 0.90 milliseconds on average. They both seem to have pretty identical looking web drivers as well, so I think it's safe to assume they have the same generation OEM firmware running on them. One thing was really noticeable when doing this test on this keyboard as well, the same thing I noticed on the Magger 60, was that the stability of the results was really nice. I only got like 2 or 3 weird outliers I needed to omit, so there have been really big improvements in the stability department, I'd say. But yeah, overall the latency is not challenging the top dogs, but it is still a very good number. The web driver is pretty much the standard layout OEM driver. You have the key remapping page, performance page, where you can change actuation distances and rapid trigger settings, and also you can change your switches if you swap them at some point. Oddly enough, they don't seem to anticipate anyone to swap them to third-party switches, since they only have 2 of their offerings here to choose from. I like that they have a start calibration option here that calibrates the keyboard without needing to type every key in order, which always feels a bit tedious to do. Then there is RGB effects pane, macros, general settings, and the advanced functionalities like dynamic keystrokes, SOTD, rapid, snappy, etc. Pretty basic driver, easy to adjust to your liking. The keyboard costs $129, which is quite a nice price for what you get, and there is the version without the glass rim for even less at around $100. You are not getting a case with the price, and while the cable you get is a really nicely crafted, thick USB cable, it has an angled USB connector for some really weird reason. Who wants this? But yeah, the keyboard is a solid budget offering, especially if you like RGB. That is all for this one. Thanks for watching and goodbye.